we all started playing, it was completely different. We enjoyed the puzzle. We enjoyed dicking around and figuring it out. And like, who didn't love playing Myst? That was the same type of syntax nightmare that DR was when we first started.
And really, on top of that, too, we had so many people in the same position that we were in. Being a new person back then was a collective experience. You had a ton of us all doing it at the same time. So you had that built-in co-adventure community piece being a new player, to have that full ability to reach out and find new people and build those friendships, and all the part that really keeps everybody loving the game long term. No matter how much you like to see the numbers go up, you can see numbers go up and watch numbers in any game anywhere. What makes DR special is our community and our interconnections. And so the people coming in now obviously don't have that level of built-in extra noobs to build that community piece with, and that's really why we want to focus not only just on the new player community experience, but community building in general.
I just want to promise you that Procedure really is real, regardless of what you think. They're over here like, she's not on camera, she's not real, she needs to sit on his lap.
I don't know that his wife or my husband would appreciate that entirely, but thank you for the feedback. I am still here, even if I am a disembodied voice. What more would you expect from a Necromancer GM than to be the disembodied spirit that just talks to you?
So, to bring it around to what our plan for the near future is, we want to really focus on taking a look at and improving our new player experience, because today's gamer is not the same type of person that we were when we started playing Dragonrealms, and we have a huge problem right now with new player retention, because it's too hard to keep up with the Joneses. Everybody feels the need to script so that they can catch up to the players that have been here for 20 years, and that's just not good game design.
Beyond that, not only is it good for the new players, I mean, who out of us who has been playing forever has ever felt, man, I know everybody. In fact, sometimes I know you people too well.
Right. Especially after this weekend.
Yeah, we've all gotten to know each other pretty great, if nothing else. But that you lose some of that sense of really meeting new people, or really even new characters, because it can be difficult sometimes not to fall into the same patterns of play that we have even when we make other characters. Or you let everybody know who you are, so you're really not meeting people new.
Right.
And with the new player retention, if we are able to get that up, you have new blood.
So the problem, in my opinion, with revamping our new player experience is that none of us are new players. And we can roll up a new character and log into the game and be like, oh, this thing sucks. And that thing sucks. But we still know what the workarounds are. We still know that you have to go forage branches to get some cash.
We know how to talk in the game.
We know how to talk.
How to make it through a gate.
So, where did he go? Oh, he's over there. No, he's right there. Last night, see, he's walking away, so I don't want to call him out by name without asking him if that's okay.
There you go. Mirror.
Can you come participate for just a minute? Absolutely. Come on back over here. Around. Can you get over there?
I think she's asking you to come around on camera.
Carefully. No, go under the wire. Limbo.
The interactive con experience that you're all missing from at home.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mazrian, right? Rodrigo.
So the two of us spent a lot of time out on the patio last night talking about what we can do about this new player experience and how we really feel like this is the major root of many of the issues that we have.
You're too tall.
Oh, they can only see the bottom of your face.
Things he's never heard before.
One thing that we want to try and do, and Rigo thinks that he can help us find some people, and some other players that are here said, yes, I definitely know someone. We need a, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it a focus group of people that have never played DR or GS. And we need them to log into our game and train up to level 20, level 25, maybe even level 50. And fill out a document and tell us where their hiccups were so that we can improve that initial integration altogether. Because I don't think it's possible for any of us to really correctly identify those things. We know all of the shortcuts.
I mean, obviously, experienced players can give feedback on other pieces, and you can change guilds and look
I know,
at stuff.
and it is a lot of gameplay. It's a tough ask. I know it's a tough ask. So we were, this morning, when we had our little powwow out on the other patio, talking about what sorts of things we can do to make this a little bit more palatable. So one thing is going to be, where is it on my list here? Yes. So we're going to reintroduce the buddy referral system. So if you can bring me a buddy and they pay for an account for 2 months, then you get a free month.
Basic or?
A free basic month.
Just having a subscription.
Sure.
And then beyond, and that's just an office thing. That's an automatic thing that can happen that has absolutely nothing to do with what we do in game for you. We also want to come up with some rewards in the game for both the seasoned player and the new player when they hit certain benchmarks.
And for this, it wouldn't require a sub. So if your friend that you want to get in,
could absolutely participate in this.
if you get people who want to come in and do the free-to-play part, well, the buddy reward system part through the office wouldn't apply. This other part would.
Right. We actually have. They're doing another thing right now. No, they're doing another thing right now. That one guy? Matt Chavez over here is, I don't know if you guys, you probably can't hear him, but he's telling us to go and find that one guy that played Cyberstrike. And so I think that we should have a reward at 5th level, because that's like your first milestone. Oh, I made it to 5th. And then maybe 10th, and then maybe 20th, and then you get a lot of, well, don't you start to get guild abilities at 30?
Yeah.
30 is
I feel like 30 is a big one, so I think
a big
we're
milestone.
I think that I feel like 5th, 10th, 30th, and 50th. What do you think?
Yeah, okay.
So, and this is something that I want all of you guys and all of you guys to help us come up with. What do you think are appropriate rewards for the new player? What do you think are appropriate rewards for the seasoned player who's holding this person's hand? And the seasoned player needs to not teach the new player too much. Like they have to.
Or show them how the
Right,
but
right,
show them
right.
the path and let them take it type thing.
You can say absolutely your next step is go get favors. Well, now they've got to figure out how to do that, because we need to know where the problems are. You can't handhold it too much, otherwise it sort of destroys the purpose of the focus group.
Please don't twink your friends for this.
Right. Don't.
And point them into Elanthia is fine. Hand holding them through everything. Yeah. Well, we have a question.
So how are you going to prevent abuse of the system? I mean, have you thought about that yet?
Well, of course we think about that. I mean, there's only so many things that you can do, and honestly, I feel like at this point, we just have to balance the rewards correctly so that it's valuable but not game breaking. Because I know that this asshole over there is going to roll up a free-to-play account. and ding, 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 and get all of the rewards, and that's something that we're going to have to take into account when we decide.
Just to interrupt, when she says this asshole over here, for people who can't see on camera, she was pointing at me.
I really was.
But if they have to pay it, like if it's a basic account other than that 2 key accounts, it would be, they'd still be totally valid. I'm sure there'd still be some guys who's on online paying $9.95 for those 3 perks.
Can you
Yeah.
start again?
So if it's going to be an
You should introduce yourself. So
Hi,
they know
it's
who they're
Kaylee.
hearing.
I'm Kaylee Debrude. If it's going to be a subbed account, at least a basic account that's going to be hit to the more seasoned account, how are we going to make sure that it's just not the same person to get the perks?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
To just make
So-
each other roll around, you know?
I would really like to say that this will only work if you're subscribed, but I think that I'm already asking a huge ask by saying, do this mindless, awful,
Thing that you may barely understand.
mind-numbing thing that you're not going to understand. Like, they're already going to be doing a huge job for us. I don't want to make them pay for it, too.
Right.
And I think that if the feedback that comes back is good and useful, then
Then who cares?
Yeah.
If it ultimately, if we were, in our discussions, we made a lot of assumptions. And one of those assumptions is that an established player wouldn't be able to give us this feedback. If we get the feedback that we need,
Right.
then who really cares?
And I'm not saying that an established player can't provide useful information. I'm saying you may not even realize that you're taking shortcuts because you just know them.
Yeah, absolutely. But if an established player manages to do all that and find all that kind of information that we're looking for and provide it, yeah, I have no problem with them getting the same kind of perks that it would be for an actual honest-to-God newbie. I think we'll get better information
Right.
from the real newbies, and that's why we're really reaching out and hoping that people will be honest in that and wanting to help our community and help the game more than just trying to pull for perks.
Right. Well, yeah, but I do. But
the perks are nice.
I still feel like there needs to be a little bit of both.
Absolutely.
Let me answer a couple of questions from the chat room real quick, if I can get David to scroll back up for me so I can see what they were. No.
I wish I could. I don't know.
He doesn't know how to scroll on his own laptop.
I don't have my mouse. Now, how many degrees do you have?
We promise he's not even drunk this time.
David, I have a mouse. Do you want
I
to
have one. It's just I don't know where my.
So somebody says just point them at Elanthia, and that's a fantastic point, and that's one thing that would go on my document and say when people log in for the first time, we need to provide them with very clear information that tells them where to go to get help. Right now, that's not anywhere. You have to find a person, and that person has to tell you, go to Elanthia. So I don't know if maybe there should be a sign. And another thing, it hasn't come up here yet, but I really feel like we need to move the starting area back to Jadewater. Maybe not inside
Yes.
where it was, but maybe by the bell. I think by the bell would be a good place, but maybe there should be a sign there with a link to Elanthia.
There is a sign that says the mentors' names and everything. Just add a sign that says Elanthia. Give them
Something.
the Elanthia if no one answers your questions.
But and that's the,
For all your mentor gaming needs.
and that particular point is exactly the kind of thing that we're looking for. What little things can we do to help people figure out how to function? And not only necessarily figure out how to function in the game as it is right now, but what changes do we need to make this game more functional?
How about if there are any new players that are listening and watching right now, real new players, please come up with questions or things that you would have liked to have seen.
Somebody asked if they could get a form for the submission to introduce new players, and we do have that. I'm just not sure really where it is right this minute because I'm in St. Louis and not at home. But I spoke with Chris in billing this morning, and she said, absolutely, that's right here. It's not easy to find, but I can point you towards it, and we'll make sure that that information gets probably posted as a news item so that it's on the splash page for DR. So it'll be right up top there. Right, and Nick makes a good point. He says the feedback provided is really a good way to track for abuse, because how many times can one person say, I couldn't find the right place to hunt? And that's a good point. We could probably tell by the feedback that we're getting how useful. Yeah. We're scrolling through the chat again because I talk too much. I'm sorry.
Junky news links. It was a good suggestion. I don't know if you saw it, about removing the junky news links from the logon text and adding the helpful links instead.
Yes, the
I think
login banner is hideous.
that might be more
the
useful.
Login, yeah.
Because some of the stuff that you see on login is super scrolly, and most of that news stuff is not needed. But stuff like, hey, here's the
Not even
here's
as an-
the Elanthia. Click here. Hey, if you're a returning player, here's the quick Elanthia link.
This is Jessica that's talking to us, by the way. Everybody say hi, Jessica.
Hi.
Jessica.
Not even as a new player experience point, but that login video banner is hideous, and we need to just get rid of it and actually put useful information on it. It gets to be too big, and when we first, I'm not sure that anybody actually even reads it. I log in and I go do something else for a minute until all the scrolling is done.
Yes,
Shared group experience is not really something.
right. They're coming from GS where there's
Yeah.
one experience.
Right.
DR we have, what, 50,
Right.
51 skills? And
It is 52 scrolls, David.
Yeah, so this comment in the chat is there an automated NPC that speaks to you at the Jadewater? It might be helpful to have them mention in an Elanthiopedia link as well. They could even, and that might be a better way to address it, because then we could script it as a whisper.
yeah, there are a couple
And
of
be like,
NPCs.
if you need to speak to somebody in an OOC manner, this is how you should do it. By the way, check out this website. Might be a good way to implement that.
We had discussed that at a mentor meeting at one point.
Yeah.
Updating an NPC for Jadewater for that.
Right. And somebody, who is that? Sensible? Says you need to appeal to mindless destruction. New players need to be able to immediately go kill something and bam, problem solved. I wholeheartedly agree.
They can go
That's
to
in the
rest.
Jadewater.
But they
Right,
have
no,
to
but-
know how to do it.
But they don't start in there anymore.
Yeah.
When you first
can't
come
Have to
in.
know how and where, and
Yeah.
that's something that we can improve
But
on.
I definitely feel like when you play a new game and you log in and you check it out, you need to be able to do something immediately.
When you first spawn in, there's no instructions on how to do anything. You don't know how to move. You don't know the abbreviations.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm an
They
A.
can't see your badge.
I'm an A. My character is actually rather young. I'm only like 8 circles, so I'm a new player, I guess. But when I first started playing, I had no idea how to move, talk, or
Right.
So you came in with under the current showing up in Town Green part of things. This is exactly the kind of feedback we need.
Yep,
Is there a way to stop the new from showing up in Town Green? Send them back
Yes.
to
Yeah.
Jadewater?
There
That's
is.
something we're doing.
There is, and we just need to decide where exactly we want to put them, because I kind of like the goblin chain to the wall, kill it thing,
Yeah.
but it's also really easy to get lost in there, and that's a little bit obnoxious.
I would think maybe then.
So
just
we may
at the
just
gate
need,
with direction signs on.
yeah, we may just need better instructions, but that's like I said, the kind of thing that we just need to isolate what all of those different details are and start plugging away at them one by one, and small improvements over time make a big improvement.
As a mentor that's there most during the day, if they would ring the bell and I'll come help them go through those steps. Here's the goblin, here's this. Well, ring again if you need help. I'd be more than happy to help them.
I agree with Binu that the starting inventory definitely needs to be looked at.
I disagree.
You're not getting a tier
Don't
6
get
weapon.
rid of the swapping thing.
No, the invisible
Not everyone
people on
wants to
this
start
end.
with the weapon they're given out of the gate.
I agree that we should keep the swapping thing. I just
Yeah,
think
the
that they
first one
shouldn't be
should
crap.
Yeah, the first one should be
I think the swapping thing is important so you can pick what type of weapon you want.
And you can try multiple weapons
yeah.
because you can go back and swap it again.
But the quality of all the weapons needs to be
Right. The ones you
better
come up
than,
are just
I don't know.
would also
It's got to be better than a forged rock. So
It'd be useful if all of that stuff was in one place too, so that people didn't have to go hunt.
yeah, tracking down that veteran can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe you need
maybe
to be
we
able
need
to.
to put him in the
Put 'em in
Jade
Jade
Water.
Water.
Yeah.
So we're in Jadewater, because if they're new, that's gonna be where they're most comfortable to mess up and get help quicker by ringing the bell, getting a mentor, or.
I'm just reading our notes
Yeah,
from our conversation this
we have
morning
some
about the
other
things that we
pieces.
wanted to talk about today. So the new player experience is going to be a huge focus of mine. And I'm going to be browbeating everybody into helping me with it because we're just not going to, we're not sustainable as it is right now. Circle 100 is a big deal.
I don't have a Circle 100 character.
But it still feels
Never
awesome
made
when
it
you
there.
get there.
Yeah, I'll never make
It feels,
there.
well, it's because you're a loser.
for those of us who aren't able to read the comments, can you explain what in the world you're babbling about?
Well, just somebody just said Circle 100 is a really big deal.
Yes, it is.
Who I am? I'm nobody. I just play DR.
They're serious. They want you.
Yeah, it's really not a joke.
No. I'm just reading the comments to see if
But
there's
can you
any.
introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Linnea. My name is Nora. I'm the PM. I do stuff. Some stuff.
I think that's copyright.
And
infringement.
Iocanthe gives people cake.
I do give people cake if you hit 100 circle when I'm around, but that was copyright infringement on doing stuff. I have it right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't do stuff, I do things.
She does things, I do stuff.
She does stuff, I do things. So, okay, beyond the new player experience, some other things that are on our radar. Before I really try to... So we need to know what the problems are with the new player experience, and I need this focus group and this feedback and this documentation, and we have some plans in mind about how we're going to obtain that information and how we're going to organize it, and what sort of directions and guidance we're going to give these people, and that's in the works. Maz over here is going to start a document to sort of start brainstorming that, and we have some other people over here that are really interested in working with him on that. And if any of you guys are interested in that too, hit this dude up.
Totally.
He's definitely, like, we're not afraid to ask for help.
'Cause we are a community.
So once we get a plan in place for how we're going to deal with the new player system, before we really try to obtain and retain new players, we need to finish this friggin' policy rewrite. That is
Long overdue.
the bane of my existence, because every time I start doing something, something else huge happens. We're going to return to those conversations. Introduce yourself.
Okay, well, I'm GM Scorn.
Hi.
Or Matt. Just call
Hi,
me
Matt.
whatever. I hadn't played DR since it first came out. But within the last 6 or 8 months, I rolled up a character. This is really a comment. Seemed as a newer player. It just seems like as a newer player, which I would consider myself in DR,
Yeah.
that people are a little inaccessible to ask questions to and
Yeah.
get help from.
And you don't know where to go to get that help.
Right.
Right. That's exactly.
Other than
Right. That is definitely a good point. Let me write that down. Hold on. How do I spell it? I don't know.
Nor did
Someone's saying that what we need, user feedback is not necessarily as helpful. We need a usability, what's the phrase they use? A usability study, not a focus group. We're not using the term focus group like someone who does focus groups.
yeah, we're not being literal here.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, if you have experience and you want to get in on this, get in touch with me. IM me, do whatever you gotta do.
They sent a link. I opened it. I'll look at it later. I already grabbed the link if that's the same one.
No, it doesn't. All right, so another thing, I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. So another thing that we definitely are going to hop back into is the policy rewrite, because as I said before, we obtain and try to retain new players. We just need to have a policy that wasn't written in 1996 and makes no sense anymore. That's very, very important, and that's going to be one of our top goals this year, is to get that just done. Just done. We're going to return to the discussions about that, and we're going to have some more open office hours. What does that say? Oh, more staff pending.
Yes, we have a current group. We are doing more
So,
training to
replacing staff is super important, and a big.
It's the background noise. So I'm gonna step out and ask the rest of the room to be a little bit more quiet.
Okay. New staff is a big priority of ours as well, and we're going to try and get more staff trained as we're having our new player experience usability study group. Is that better than focus group? We're going to try and do those two things simultaneously so that when we have the information that we need, we have the hands to implement it. We have some people in training right now, and as soon as they're done, we're going to have another group right behind them. And we're just going to try and crank through and get, like, before the end of this calendar year, I would like to have at least 6 or 8 or ideally 10 more staff members to help spread the load a little bit, because those of us that are sitting right here go in 15 different directions every time we log in, and it's really hard to get anything meaningful done because there are so many little things that demand your attention every minute.
We spend a lot of time putting out the fires instead of being able to address some of the larger pieces.
Right, it makes it extremely difficult to get meaningful things done.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm sorry, since I stepped away, I didn't hear the beginning part of what you were saying about training, but that's huge for us.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it is going to be a really big focus.
So we are, what time is it? Oh. Okay, so we have about 20 more minutes. All right. Another thing that we want to talk about is our microtrans event schedule is not something that's going to change. We're going to try and Crystal, will you?
You want me to step in
Yes.
on this part? We really can't change the every other month piece. That's going to maintain. What we're really looking to do with it, though, is integrate the feedback that you guys have been giving us. We know that the fatigue piece is huge. We feel it too. It's fatigue on our end as well. But we want to be able to make these events fun, not just that thing that happens every other month. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing it again. Why isn't this other stuff getting done? We're looking to address the other stuff getting done too. That's part of the training piece. But for the microtrans events themselves, our scope of how we get to address the microtrans piece, we are really at the point now where we can take in all the stuff that you guys have been telling us, all the information we've been able to gather behind the scenes with our metrics, all of those parts, and really start developing not only the events that we already have in place, but some new stuff that we have coming down the pike, in a way that is hopefully, I mean, this is our idea for things, going to feel more like Dragonrealms to you.
Yeah, it needs to be more authentic to us.
To be our experience, not. And I know, especially when we started Duskruin, there were people who had seen Gemstone and went, aha, that is not only the same kind of thing they're doing, it literally has the same name. We want to do this for DR. We want it to be DR's events, regardless of how you feel about the actual microtrans process piece. We want to make these events enjoyable and fun and feel like they are really DR things, and taking all that feedback that everybody's been giving us and making them better.
Do you want to talk about this one?
One of the things that I would like to focus on, and keeping in mind that I'm not entirely a Worlds GM, I'm a CE GM, but I understand that there are things in our world that don't work. There are some things like shops that sell magical devices that aren't magical anymore. These little things I would like to focus on over the next year, working with our new trainees to get these things fixed, so that when you go to buy a runestone or a magical device, you know it's going to work. It's not going to be, hey, this is a pretty thing, and I'm going to put it in my vault. So that's a thing that I would like to focus on, and I will need feedback on that. So keep your eyes peeled on our forums. I'm going to be posting for requests for information there, and if you find something that's really, really broken, you can do bug reports. I'm in the loop on all of those, and I'm going to be looking for them. And that was my piece.
A player in the chat asks, would moving quest prizes to the Simucoin store free up dev time? Would be nice to see more guild releases.
You guys can't see her.
No,
She's just
it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Yeah, this is Persida. My head started shaking immediately. Unfortunately, it wouldn't at all.
So I'd like to go back to that comment about barbarians and paladins and engagement.
Please do. Please do. Can you guys hear? Can you guys hear him? You need to be speaking so that they can know if they can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Text one. If
Okay,
you can
hi.
hear him.
No. He was doing that Thursday night with text one if you want Javik to drink more, and then one off the screen. Everyone wanted me to drink more. So anyway, so someone in the chat asked about barbarians and an ability to leap to melee and that paladins also need something to get to melee and keep people at melee, because advancing takes time, retreating does not take time. And we're aware of this, but nobody on staff that I know of has come up with a good solution for how to do it. It's asymmetrical. Either we're going to make it so ranged is useless, or there's no way to do it in a way that's not going to destroy ranged. And it's not an easy problem to solve, but we're aware of it. And if you have ideas, please feel free to email them to us. We all have email addresses. It's dr-our name at play.net.
Persida just reminded me that I also wanted to tell you guys that one thing that we're going to do a little bit differently for the second half of this calendar year is that once a month I'm going to return to, I don't know how many of you were around when I used to do this at the end of last year, but when I have 2 free hours, I'm just going to drop a portal to my office in Town Green and be like, if you need to chat, come on up. I'm going to shoot for once a week, and I'm going to try and move it around to, like, maybe this week it'll be a Wednesday morning, but next weekend it's going to be a Saturday night type thing. May not always get to be once a week because we got shit to do, but we're going to try. I'm not going to promise that.
I think Codius is our barbarian GM right now. We have a barbarian GM, but that said, he does work on a lot of things. So,
frankly, that can be said about all of us. There are a lot of GMs, and we all cover a lot of. I was gonna say there's not a lot of GMs. We all cover a lot of duties. We are all wearing more hats than we have heads or body parts at this point.
also, I'm not on the training team, so I can't hire you. If you want to be hired, apply through the website, and our training team will review your application.
I'm not going to hire you. I don't
She
even know who you
probably-
are. I'm just kidding.
She will.
She's being
Apply.
sarcastic.
Codius is not here this year, and he would be the one that could give us an update on the status of enchanting, and I'm not really sure what he has going on with that, so I cannot answer that question. I'm sorry. But I will nag him to give us an update on that particular piece of the crafting system on the forums. Watch me make a note. Ready?
It's amazing how when Nora makes notes,
They
the
just end up
person
in
next
Deb's
to us
handwriting.
starts writing.
No, but we will definitely ask him to give us an update on the system as a whole, see where it is and what's still coming. And I'm not going to ask him to promise a timeline because stuff happens. But at least we can get an idea of where it stands right now.
It's a statement of fact. Yes, we do.
One of our audience was reading the comment about how we might be spreading ourselves too thin.
No shit.
Yeah, that's beyond true. That is absolutely a fact, and we're working really hard on making that less of a fact. That's part of why we're spread so thin right now, is because on top of all of these other duties that we're doing, we're trying to make training happen. Oh, thank you for the pay for GMing comment. That we love you, and not entirely. Off camera suggestion for collecting tips. But seriously on that, I know in the past on the forums and on some other sources, people had suggested possibly setting up like GoFundMe's or things or Patreons, and that's very sweet of you. But it still really wouldn't address what the fundamental issues are for us, which is the literal manpower part.
Yeah, we just need more hands.
We just,
We need
know,
more of us.
No matter how fantastically freaking awesome we are, and I like to think we are, we have to sleep at some point, and it's just a physical human limitation issue at this point.
What? No, it's not. No, it's not a good idea at all. So that's basically what our plans are, what our goals are, and where our focus is going to be. So does anybody have any questions about anything different? That, like, we're watching the chat right here. What else do you want us to be talking about? Yeah.
I would like to address that because I still play the game quite often.
Can you read the question for everybody?
So the question was about GMing. Does it entirely ruin your ability to play the game as a player?
Yeah.
I just recently started a new empath character. I started a new moon mage character. I like starting new characters. The lower levels are fun for me, but I try to play and I find bugs and then I log out and I go log in as a GM so I can fix those bugs.
Speaking from a different end of that, I don't. For me, if I don't know what the question was meant, was it like a philosophical piece where, it's just all ruined and you could never play again kind of thing? Or if you mean like, do we not have time? Or do we feel as though we can't really play because there are restrictions on us and our abilities? There are some things that we do ask of GMs to not really do. as players for our PCs. And that's more to keep certain aspects for the game more available for the paying customers. And it really boils down to things that are very limited in quality or unique in the game. That would be a real jerk move for us to go and snap those up. So we do have some minor limitations on us when we're playing, but I mean, on my end, I will admit that at this point in my GMing, I feel like I don't have time to play. But that is not the case across the board, and most of us, I think, try to stay connected and try and still play if we can.
So I want to address a couple of the comments over here. Our PCs are not different. There is no God mode on our PCs. They're just
Exactly
PCs,
what I was gonna go after.
and
That was the one I was trying to jump
so.
on.
No, there's no turning God mode on just because you're also a GM. GMs are allowed to use Genie and Lich on their PC bodies. We cannot use those things on our GM bodies.
Right. Your player account as a GM is a regular player account.
So I was going to talk about the magic being ruined as a player after being a GM. I'm Jess. I used to be a Viking. I'm on a break from school. Hi.
Hey,
so, and I miss you guys terribly. I miss you guys so much. So for me, playing isn't because the magic's ruined. It's because I don't know anybody anymore. And it's never been about the magic being ruined, because that's never been the fun part of the game. The fun part of the game has been the magic that's created when I get to hang out with you guys and do all the fun stuff, like, you know, getting into scrapes, you know, by having, when my character and Mazrian's character were married and he killed me for Toteness, knowing Toteness was a necromancer and not telling him, or having him accidentally blow me a kiss and killing me with dragon's breath. Those were the special moments that made Dragonrealms fun, not how the magic of the experience worked. It was never anything like that. So no, I really think it can depend on the person, but it really doesn't make. I really think it doesn't ruin anything being a GM and then going back as player. It can make it harder though for time.
So just to reiterate, your player account is still a regular player account. You don't have any access to any GM tools on your player account. You don't ever have to tell anybody that you're a GM. They don't have to know that your player knows things, but even if they do, your PC doesn't get to do GM things. You still have to train. You still have to earn your own money. You still have to go.
Which is why I don't have a character at 100th level.
Because we can't just make it be that way. All of that would be totally out of line. We don't do any of that. We can't even like take our GM body and change stuff on our characters. It's all verboten. We don't do any of that.
And that would defeat the purpose of playing the game.
Yes, it will.
Right? Like any game, it's about the journey. And look at all the people who buy high-level characters, and they're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and they get defeated by people who are 40 levels lower than them in PvP because they don't know what they're doing. They didn't play that character to that point. They don't know how.
Does anybody else have any questions? Not any other tangents you want us to take? Anybody in the audience? I'm sorry, bite my what?
I actually can answer that. And we had a question that was just trade or magic. There is some I can say on that. The beginning events for those of you who have been paying any attention, drop hints at the beginnings of the events for Trader Magic have already happened in the last month or so. Not going to tell you what it was. But if you've been paying attention to some other events around Zaluran, you may have noticed the edges of the beginnings of the Trader Magic lead-in events. We're making really good progress on a lot of that. The only reason I can speak on this at all is because I've been involved on the back end of the lore pieces with the dev team who's working on it, and I've been pretty involved in watching the spell development in that piece. It's really happening, guys, like for reals. I don't have ETAs, and if anyone's ever read any of my posts on the forums, I'm the one who keeps telling you I'm not going to give you an ETA either. The answer is when it's done. But we're making really good progress, and it's very tangible.
So one of the comments in the stream is a player wants to know exactly what I meant by we're not sustainable, and I don't mean that they're going to shut the servers off because we're not making any money. I mean we're not gaining any new players, and eventually the players that we have grow out of DR. So if we can't get new players and we can't retain players, eventually there's going to be 5 people.
Yeah, and when she's saying they grow out of DR, she doesn't mean you guys get too old and stop playing. We're all really young and awesome still. But you know, those other old people who stay around, it's just that life happens. I mean, over the span of any game, we're freaking amazing at how long some of us have been playing.
Right.
That's not normal in games, and it's not expected even in ours. You know, people come and they go and they pop in and out, and a lot of us come back, but you know, over time there's an attrition rate, and right now we're not getting enough new people to really fill in the attrition rate piece.
Does that answer the sustainability question?
They have like a 20-second delay on the chat.
Let's all
so-
stare and wait. Yes? No? You're welcome. I know. We're... So somebody else made a comment. I'm sorry.
Does anyone here have a question for us that we can address while we're waiting for more questions in the feed?
Nobody. See, these people
Sure,
have
sure.
been locked in this room with us for the past 2 days, and they're kind of tired of it. We've already had all of those conversations. They're like, there's nothing new we can answer for them. We already talked about it. You need to be here so that you can be a part of these conversations when rum is involved, because it's so much more fun.
Or the entire bottle of Jägermeister that mysteriously
You
disappeared
did
in my
not
presence.
drink that whole bottle, did you?
She shared that bottle.
Oh my God.
I didn't get any, but
Well-
she shared that bottle.
Well, there were a couple shots. There were.
So
I didn't drink
the
the
feed
whole
likes to say earlier. People were saying get that man a shot because he's a lot funnier when he's been drinking.
He is so cute. He makes Kermit face. Whenever I say anything to David, he makes Kermit face. It's sort of hilarious. Even more so when he's been drinking a little bit, because my requests get more and more ridiculous as the night goes on. Bug report does not go unanswered. Every single GM on staff gets every single bug report that you submit right to their inbox.
I think what he means is even if we fix it, or even if we reply internally to the email saying this isn't a bug, we also need to pass that information to the player who
Okay, why
submitted
don't
the
you do
bug.
that?
And we try to do that.
A lot of us do,
sometimes
but
that falls through
I
the
will
cracks.
admit that it probably doesn't happen for every bug that gets fixed.
Yeah. Right. It really depends on the bug, and like if it's a simple typo, that's not something that we really have the time nor the inclination to track you down and say we swapped your A and E back.
And the truth of the matter is that some bugs just really take a long time to even replicate, let alone fix. And by the time, and as one of our audience members said, by the time we fix it, we honestly might not remember who submitted that bug report to be able to come find you, because we've gotten roughly 75,000 other bug reports since then. There's a lot of them.
There are a lot of bug reports. There are not very many of us.
The-
Sometimes that's what it falls down to.
I have the bug reports filtered into different Gmail subgroup things,
Yeah.
and there's like thousands of them still because there's so many.
But sometimes we get bug reports about things that just are not bugs.
And also things that may seem like bugs at the moment, but then we also frankly get people who use Bug Report as a suggestion box.
Yes. Please don't do that.
We love you and we want your feedback,
don't.
but please don't
No.
use Bug for that. Please post on the forums
Or wait for one of my open
email
office
us.
hours.
Come talk to us about that, but please don't use Bug. That box gets hit with a lot of email already.
All right, I think we are out of time, so David's going to answer one last thing.
Oh, no, I was going to ask you if we can answer that.
Oh. Yeah, you can. That's,
Okay,
this
so
is correct.
fervent apathy. It's a little more complicated than that. What we as GMs code in is GS. The question. Let me repeat the question first. So, fervent apathy said someone said DR wasn't written in C. I thought it was. There's some base level stuff that's in C, C++. What we as GMs program in is GSL, like they said.
It's a proprietary language.
Right.
There's the core system on-site touches it part that the GMs don't have any access to whatsoever. That's a different shell. But what we do is all GSL.
Yes, there are not variables. There are registers. Like they're asking more technical questions, so I'm going to answer it as the technical GM here. It's closer to assembly than they're given looks because they don't like it when I say that. It's closer to assembly than it is to like Python or Ruby, which are other scripting languages where there's registers, not variables. I can't define a variable that's got a name that's meaningful.
Sometimes Javik doesn't believe the rest of us have technical skills.
So Karina over there regularly asks me, hey, I have this very simple script I want you to write for me. And by sometimes I mean all the time.
All right, so we are out of time for our State of the Elanthia, but we are going to be available in the chat for how long?
I'll have to move, but I'll set my computer up and I'll stay in the chat and I'll try to keep interacting for.
Yeah. Oh, so they want to know if we can just leave the camera on the room in general. They just want to watch the room. Is that all right? Okay. No, we really don't. Okay, so we're going to shut this down and we all are going to go do a couple of things, and then in about 5 or 10 minutes we're going to reconvene from one of those tables over on the other side of the room, and David's going to man the keyboard and we're going to swear about you where you can no longer hear us.
But we'll be on camera.